Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Keith Brooks. Welcome to another episode of Not Quite Cool. I am here as always. Chad, how you doing?
It's fairly obvious at the moment that Rob is not with us. He may join us. We'll see. But this goes to show you Rob's lack of professionalism.
Yeah.
Because we really only record when we can get Rob on board, the main podcast. Mm-hmm. So it's like once a month. That's what we're kind of doing. But we have recorded ourselves 2 podcasts together of our sister podcast, Not Quite Darkness, where we go through the In Search of Darkness documentary 80s horror movies, where we talk about that. We've already done 2 of those. Got it together easy peasy and no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
And now we're just waiting on Rob. We've been planning this to record, and he's not even here.
Nope.
And why don't you tell him your thoughts on us recording at this moment, Keith, and how you found out about that.
Yeah, so Chad messages me maybe an hour ago. I was like, Rob's running late. He's probably going to run super late. Do you want to just go ahead and get started without him? And I was like, what? I didn't know we were recording tonight. Rob didn't tell me. So that's how I found out, was finding out Rob was going to be late. And I was still on time. Like, Rob's not even here yet. I had an hour and I got here. Granted, I was just eating vegetable lo mein with my puppies, but still,
plus, the fact that he's not here, we've seen like 10 different things and Rob's seen 2 of those. So it's not like he's missing out. You're not missing out, listener, of his opinion on these movies that he has not seen.
Plus, we really want to get our thoughts out on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania while it's relevant and still hot and fresh in the theaters.
Exactly.
we will have
we do have a special guest.
Yeah, that's exactly
Go ahead. Yeah.
We have a special guest that's going to be here for one of our films. But we'll get to that movie in a second. First, in honor of Rob, who is not here with us yet, let's go ahead and talk about something kind of old, and that's 65. Chad went and saw this. Chad, what did you think about Adam Driver versus Dinosaurs, the movie?
I thought this movie was fine. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's kind of a paint by numbers. To me, the best thing about it was the trailer and the reveal in the trailer. And once that it's 65 million years ago and he's actually on Earth, that's the reveal.
That's the big one, yeah.
In the trailer. And that's a great reveal. Absolutely. But I mean, that's what the movie is. So once we get that, there's not a whole lot more to it. It is Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs. There's some cool special effects. The dinosaurs are, I'd say, scarier for the most part than Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Cool.
They've got them looking more monstrous in certain aspects as far as that goes. Adam Driver's awesome. I'm a fan of Adam Driver, so he's good no matter what he's in. But again, it was just to me a basic paint by numbers. Best part about it was the idea of the film.
Well, speaking of paint by numbers and ideas, let's talk about something that might be a little bit childish, like paint by numbers is, and that's a new horror film I saw and Chad saw and our special guest saw, and Rob would be confused by the title of a horror film that came out recently entitled Skinamarink. I saw it on Shudder. Chad, what did you think about Skinamarink, this movie you forced me to fucking watch when you're like, A24 is too weird for me? And now they're winning all the Oscars, I want to remind, but that's fine.
The most non-A24 film around, though. That's what's winning the Oscars.
2 of them.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, you said Skinamarink is, Rob would be confused with the title. Everything about it's confusing.
Yeah.
It's not just a title. This is an experimental film, and I in general don't like experimental films. And this holds true. I don't like this movie. Is it a movie? Do you call it a movie? Nope, I wouldn't call it a movie. Sure, it's an hour and 45 minutes of something. I wouldn't call it a movie though. This is not for me on any level whatsoever. I wanted you to watch it because I really thought that you might just, get high and just love this. It might be the greatest movie you've ever seen.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I got high, but there are definitely parts of it I liked. I respect what it's trying to do, but I'll talk about that in a second. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, it's there's some creepy imagery. Don't get me wrong. There is some creepy stuff in the movie that happens, but overall, to me, it's not a movie. This would maybe, and I stress maybe, work as like a 20-minute short. That's the extent of this. This is a hard pass. I would not recommend this movie to anyone because
You literally,
it's not a movie.
you recommended it to me, you asshole. I'm done with what you have to say. I'm going to call in. We have a special guest coming in right now to tell about her view of the film. This is going to be Maggie Dowdy. This is her first time on the show.
Absolutely. It's her debut. I'm going to turn it over to her. So here's Maggie.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us and for all the awesome stuff. Most people don't know Maggie does the thumbnail art for the show. She did the trailer song, all sorts of crazy stuff. This is literally
the backbone.
What you're holding it together. Definitely.
Mhm.
You're the backbone. Rob is the
That's
tumor. So you saw Skinamarink. What did you think about Skinamarink?
Well, I liked it, but I didn't like it. So it's an hour and 40 minutes. The first hour and 20, I'm about to fall asleep. I'm like, this is boring. And then the last 20 minutes, I'm like, am I allowed to cuss?
Yes.
Thumbs up. I got a thumbs up.
Good.
Okay.
Fuck yeah. Let's
Last
do it.
20 minutes, scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. Okay. So I decided to watch this at like midnight alone in my room because why not?
Yeah.
And that was a mistake. So I grabbed the remote for my TV in the last 20 minutes. And I noticed about 5 minutes later, the remote is like soaking wet from the sweat that is on my hand because of how nervous I am watching this movie. Like, I'm freaking out. And I'm just like drenched in sweat. I don't know how that happens, but I'm drenched. And I'm freaking out. And I don't know if you remember this, but like the phone jump scare, like little toy phone.
Yeah. With the eyes and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that jump scare happens. It's 1 a.m. I scream. I hope I don't wake my parents up. And then the weirdest thing, my vision starts to blur. Like, I don't understand. Like, I've never had an experience like that with a movie before. My like vision is blurring and my heart is like, I feel like I need to turn this off. So I pause it. And I'm like, how much time I can't do any more of this. I pause it and I'm like, how much time is left? And I still got like 20 minutes. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I sit there. The blanket is like, that like just my eyes are peeping out of the blanket. I'm watching it like that. And I'm like, I feel so embarrassed for being so scared of this movie is the main thing. I'm peeping out of the blanket. And then there's that face in like the abyss in the last like 5 minutes. And it like speaks to me, like, what's your name? And then I pause it because I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And I see that there's no more subtitles left. I'm like, okay, I watched it. I turn it off with like 3 minutes left because I'm like, I don't want to watch the rest of it. Yeah. So I'm done. So I watched the entirety of Skinamarink and I will stand by that. I will not be watching the last 3 minutes. It's fine. But yeah, and then I turned it off and I couldn't go to sleep. And then it took me a while, woke up about 4 a.m, had to pee so bad. And then I was like, you know what? If I step out of the room, it's going to be a dark hallway. I'm not going to be able to see anything. I can hold it. I don't need to go that bad. I really had to go pee, but I didn't want to get out of my bed. I didn't. So it was really bad. I've never had a reaction like that. Again, first hour and 20, so boring. For the last 20 minutes is the scariest stuff I've ever seen in a movie before.
Were you terrified by like corners of your house?
Yes.
And stuff like that after it? Yeah.
And I have like stuffed animals in my room.
Oh.
And they kept looking at me at the night.
And then they started floating in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I like it is scary imagery wise, but you're also closer to the age of like creepy pasta and stuff like that. Do you ever read creepy pastas, anything like that?
Oh yeah.
To me, like that's
Love
what
that.
this feels like, is like a creepy pasta come to life. Like so but even for you, an hour and 20 minutes of it was too extreme. It's only the last part of it that you really enjoyed.
I enjoyed a strong word.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that. It was something.
See, your dad made it seem like you fucking loved this movie, and I had to watch it because you wanted to talk about it so much. And then I
did.
Yeah.
They were dying laughing in the morning. I'm telling this story. My dad's like crying with laughter when I'm saying how wet the remote is. Like it's slipping out of my hand because I'm sweating so much.
I had this movie's like 9.5 years old, but there's a movie called Hereditary. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. Yeah, great movie, right? So I'm watching it. It's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm watching it on a DVD, and I'm sitting there. My girlfriend at the time is asleep on the couch beside me. I'm invigorated in this movie, and it's the section where they set Gabriel Byrne on fire, and I'm just like completely mind fucked about what's happening. Oh my God. And then all of a sudden the TV turns off in real life. And I'm like, what just happened? And I look down and one of my cats has pressed the button to turn it off. And I almost peed myself. So I totally understand. That was my Skinamarink moment.
Yeah. I don't know if Dad said this, but he was watching The Ring one time and like at his house like it was like midnight or something. And then like Wi-Fi, like the cable went out, so it did that static thing when he's watching The Ring.
That's terrifying. So you would not recommend Skinamarink to people, or you would because of the last couple minutes?
I recommended it to my coworker and he loved it. So
that's awesome. Okay, cool. Okay. Well, thank you for your opinion on Skinamarink and your review.
Yes. Chad's daughter signing off, I guess. Chad's daughter,
Thank you, Maggie Downey. I appreciate it.
Thank you. He got it. He got my name. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't know what she must have been doing a bit or something, because that was not her voice the whole time she was talking. She was doing an accent.
Clearly. But let me talk about the bullshit that is Skinamarink real quick. What the fuck is this movie? Like, no, I get it that it is creative, definitely, to not have people in your entire film. It is very cool that they took the meaning of camera angles very literally and just showed me angles of a house. It is interesting that there's like maybe a story of like a kid being neglected and dying, and like that's maybe what the plot is, and this is all the interpretations of dying moments, or that this house has been transported to hell. All of that's interesting. I don't think it's this long of a movie interesting.
Not even close.
And yet this movie's got like praise everywhere, which is fine. I mean, it is creative. I'm sure it cost $5 to shoot, and good job really milking that. Wonderful job. But yeah, it's I'm glad I watched it. I will never watch it again. There you go.
No. And as I said, I would not recommend this to anyone. I'll change it a little bit. I would not recommend this to anyone that's a normal person.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate
most
that.
people. Yeah, no problem.
I also like the name Skinamarink. I only know that from the fucking song when we were kids. The Skinamarinky dinky dink, like that thing. Is that what that's a reference to, or is there something else that's Skinamarink?
I think your guess is as good as mine. It could be that, because again, it's kids. You know, we see toys, young kids stuff. It makes sense to me.
None of it makes sense to me whatsoever.
No, that's true.
Well, speaking about fucked up stuff, let's talk about this other film that both Chad and I saw, directed by Elizabeth Banks. This is one of the wildest movies I've seen in a long time, with an amazing cast featuring Ray Liotta and a bear. We're of course talking about Cocaine Bear. Chad, what did you think about Cocaine Bear?
This was fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's like you said, great cast. And you know, it is called Cocaine Bear, and we're there to see the bear. But I enjoyed the cast. I thought it was funny, some of this, because you know, it's not 90 minutes of a bear attacking people. You know, we got to have other stuff in the movie. So it works. The other cast to me worked. The bear scenes were awesome though. Like the bear was awesome. It was super, super great. Like as far as the characters, I was a big fan of that park ranger. I thought she was so funny.
Good. Yeah.
How she was like in love with that other guy and just the way she was acting about everything. Like big fan. And her death
was brutal.
Amazing.
But
it's one of the best deaths I've seen in horror movies. Like, I don't know if you call this a horror movie. I it's borderline. It's a creature feature as far as that goes. But her death was amazing. It was one of the ones where when it happened, I was in the theater and I really typically don't make noise. I might clap if everybody's clapping or something like that. But I was like, oh, when she fell out of that ambulance and landed, and just the
face
was
grinding.
So
oh God, it was so good.
It looked so brutal. Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, fan of this. I would say this is about as good of a movie as you can expect when it's called Cocaine Bear.
See, I disagree because I think it's better than you expect it to be. Like, I thought I was going in for the schlock of something like Snakes on a Plane, which I thought was an ultimate disappointment. But this was like, I loved all the characters. It felt like there was a lot of heart to the film. I love that the soundtrack was very synthy. Like, all of that I thought was great. I thought Felicity was amazing. Young Han Solo was great. Ice Cube was fantastic, or Ice Cube Jr. rather. I just walked away laughing my ass off, thinking it still had like a lot of heart. The kids felt very Bad News Bears-ish. And the bear was awesome. I'm glad the bear was a villain, but also not a villain. And that was awesome to me to see that. I had a blast. This is one of my favorite movies I've seen of the year. And my favorite, probably drug-fueled bear film ever.
Well, get ready now, because we're going to get, they're all coming. Yeah. It's going to be, I think I've already saw a poster for, I'm sure it'll be direct to streaming or something, but Meth Gator.
Yeah, Meth Gator. I think we're going to have like Speed Shark, Cannabis Caterpillar, like a lot of stuff like
I'm
that.
ready for like Heroin Rhino. That was the one I'm going for.
I'm super excited about it.
Why not?
But from
the bear, it was fun.
Yeah. But from the bear to a different creature, but we're talking about an under the sea creature right now. It's still a mammal, and it's the whale. I know this is a little bit old, but I just saw it. The A24 Brendan Fraser starring film that won him an Oscar, won him an Academy Award, and how much of fans we are of A24 here at the podcast. So we're celebrating for them entirely across the board.
You're an A20 whore.
I absolutely am. I'm gonna get that as a shirt, but then people are gonna be confused. But the whale, have you seen it yet?
No, and I know you don't remember this, but on the podcast we talked about the trailer, and at the end was, I'm never going to watch this movie.
I think you should. It's very it is much more. I know it's based on a play, and it feels like it's based on a play. Like, he shoots it. He doesn't shoot it as if it was a play, but he keeps that sort of self-contained notion to it. And Brendan Fraser is absolutely incredible. Everybody in this movie is incredible. It makes me hate Sadie Sink, like, with a passion.
Wow.
Her character is so complicated and nuanced, but you are driven to despise her for a second. And it really forms your opinion about who Brendan Fraser is. Like, your hatred for her makes you feel a very specific way about him, which is a weird experience to have. But yeah, it's I don't know that it's powerful. I mean, it's powerful in performance. I think oftentimes when we say a movie is powerful, we think of it, it makes us walk away with an inspirational message. And I don't think that's what happens here. But instead, it does move you to see this person's life and see how it unfolds. You know what I mean?
Right.
I highly recommend it. I think it's absolutely beautiful film and a well-deserved award on his part, definitely. But speaking of,
you would say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know we haven't seen everything that's Oscar nominees.
Yeah,
he won the Oscar, so you definitely think, yes, he deserved the Oscar out of the other stuff you've seen, because I know Austin Butler was nominated for Elvis.
Yeah, and I
he
think
won some of the other award show. You know, a lot of times you sing and you play a real person. Oscar people like that.
Yeah, let me look at the nominees real quick. So it was Brendan Fraser in The Whale, Austin Butler in Elvis, Colin Farrell in The Banshees of Inisherin, Bill Nye in Living, and Paul Mescal in Aftersun. I saw 3 of those. I saw The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, and The Whale. I think Colin was great. Absolutely was phenomenal. I think Austin Butler was transformative as Elvis, even to the degree where it was hard for him to transform back, and I'm not convinced he's fully done it yet.
Right.
But I think with Brendan Fraser's character has this optimism that is just so unrelenting in it. And then in addition to that, Butler has a physical transformation, but it's not the same as what, you know, Fraser's has. And Fraser's might be a lot of makeup and prosthetics, but still he carries the mechanics of that, of how to actually move from this point. And I think ultimately I do think he's a great pick. Now, again, all of these are subjective. It's weird and it's hard to like pile up art against one another and say this is the best one, because it's all
right.
You know, the mood and everything. So, but I think well deserved. Yeah, that's my opinion. I'll stick to it, no matter what you say, Chad. No. I don't know.
Hey, he can win it. I'm just not going to watch his performance. That's all I'm saying. No,
You should. Oh my god,
nothing against him. But now that he's an Oscar winner, make Mummy 4. Get it done.
Absolutely. Put Michelle Yeoh and Ki Kwan in it. But yeah, I mean, Brendan Fraser's a fighter. And as is this next film that we're going to talk about, directed by Michael B. Jordan. Chad saw this. I saw the first 30 minutes of it, but starring Tessa Thompson, Michael B. Jordan, and Jonathan Majors. This is Creed 3. Ding, ding, ding. I didn't hear no bell. Chad, what did you think about this new installment in the Rocky franchise?
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're taking the spot of Rob here in this, where you've watched 30 minutes of something that we're going to talk about. Like, is this even out on digital? Like, is it at the movie theater only? Did you leave halfway through? Was there a fire alarm?
I got a screener, but I don't think I'm supposed to tell anybody I got the screener, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. That makes a little more sense, but still. So, first of all, you can't top Creed 2 as far as I'm concerned. I love Creed 2.
Mm-hmm.
I love the history with Drago and bringing it back, and he's facing Drago's son. I love it. So you can't top that. This was good. You know, I enjoyed it a lot, but this one even has Drago in it. So, you know, that's cool. But this was Jonathan Majors' film. Like, I know it's Creed. I know Michael B. Jordan directed it, but I mean, as far as the director, he's given it to Jonathan Majors. Like, his performance in this movie is amazing. Like, I've always been a fan of Jonathan Majors. This one is, I'm not even being like hyperbolic. It's like, if he gets nominated for an Oscar for this, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. Like, he is so good in what he does in this film and the transformation. And I don't mean like how he looks like a beast of a man. I just mean like what he goes through is so good in this movie, and it's so personal. I love it. I love his performance. I mean, his performance carries this movie. I do think that, this is a spoiler a little bit, but you may have already known this or heard it, that, so Stallone's not in this movie.
Yeah.
And I do feel that he's, you notice it.
Gotcha.
Like, I want some Stallone in the movie. I know that it's Creed's story and we're going forward. It feels like, though, that what we've done is I know it's Creed 3. I don't know how many more they're going to make, but this made a ton of money. But it feels like we've jumped to the end of Creed's story. We've flashed forward so much that, I mean, obviously there's plenty of places you can go. We look at the Rocky story. I do not like Rocky 5, but Rocky 5, he wasn't boxing. Then he came back out of retirement in 6. And then, now he's in Creed. So you could still do some stuff with Creed. So I'm not saying his story is over by any means, but certainly it just seems like we have sped through his career very quickly with these 3 movies. But overall, I'm a fan of this franchise. I love Michael B. Jordan, but I cannot praise Jonathan Majors enough in this film.
And again, I've only seen a portion of the film. I'm up to the place where he is about to spar with the man that Creed and Duke have been training. So that's where I'm at right now. So I haven't seen a lot of Majors, but I've been impressed by Michael B. Jordan's direction in the film, all that stuff.
There's, I'm not saying anything out of turn here. Everybody's saying there's a lot of anime influence in this film.
Oh, definitely.
So I think you might dig that as you go along.
Yeah. And I'm liking it so far. And I think there are elements of it so far that remind me of Rocky V in the sense that he's taking on a mentorship. Like I could see the Adonis and Dame being Rocky and Tommy Gunn sort of relationship. I can't wait to get back into it. But so far, I wonder if I'm going to feel the absence of Stallone. Oftentimes when you have an actor that's so associated with the franchise and they're absent from it, you really feel that. Kind of like our next installment, which is a new horror film that was just released, and that is Scream VI. Scream 6, Ghostface takes the burrows. Chad, what did you think about Scream 6?
I love the Scream franchise. Every film in the franchise, this one included. I love these movies. I do feel though that this is going to hurt your feelings a little bit, Keith. I believe is that Neve Campbell was not missed as much as I missed Rocky in Creed.
Okay.
I'm digging this new cast. We got to know him in Scream 5. I feel Scream 5 is a better movie, but we got to know him in Scream 5. We got more of them, in this, and I didn't really miss Sydney. At all, really. Maybe a little bit, but not a whole lot. But, we did have Gail. There's no Dewey because Dewey died in this one. And I think how they used Gail was pretty perfect. I love the scene where she almost gets punched and she's like, it's not my first rodeo or whatever. And then she gets punched by Tara. Yeah, it was pretty good. So I like that. But I got to tell you, though, Gail's never been like one of my favorites in the franchise. I like Gail, she's one of the originals or whatever, but it was doing something to me when Ghostface was attacking her in her house. I was like saying like, fight, get it. I did not want anything to happen to Gail. I was worried to death for Gail in that moment. And so it works in that regard, because I'm worried. And we're going to spoil this movie. So if you haven't seen Scream, Scream a lot of times is all about the reveal, who the killer or killers are. We're going to get into that. So fast forward if you don't want to know, because we're going to get into it.
If you're watching this on YouTube, the times are marked at the bottom. So go into the next one. Yeah,
absolutely. So this is the first Scream where I knew who the killer was almost immediately.
Me too.
And it wasn't like a guess. Like some of the Screams, I'm like, oh, I think it might be that one, and you might be right. But this one it's obvious to me, based on the writing and the dialogue, that it has to be this. As soon as, and I can't even remember her name, but as soon as their roommate said
Quinn,
yep. As soon as Quinn said, I lost my brother when I moved here, when I lost my brother, I was like, oh, her brother must be Richie.
Yeah.
Like immediately,
Instantly, I knew the whole thing. Instantly, yes. I knew. The only thing I didn't know was the second brother, but everything else I got immediately when they said it.
Yes. And then you got the cop who is her dad. So you've already got the two killers right there. You got the dad and the daughter. Like that, obviously those are the two killers. Again, I did not think that there would be three killers in this one. So that was surprising. It was fine. But because even when he brought it up later, when he was like, oh, both of my kids, I was like, you keep mentioning this, we got it. We know it's Richie. Come on. Yeah. So that takes it down a little bit because it was so obvious, of who it was. And again, that's the only Scream movie that I've felt that about, that it was obvious who it was. I've had guesses and thought it might be people based on what we watched. But again, that was like almost the beginning of the movie when Quinn said that line. So you're already, and then when Quinn has a relationship with her father, well, then there it is. So that's I didn't like that piece, but we got, at the beginning of the movie, it starts off and it shows Samara Weaving, one of my favorite actresses. I love her, and I was like, oh shit,
she's dead
because I just know she's gonna die, because she's either gonna die or the twist is she's gonna be the killer. You know what I mean? But so she dies, obviously, the opening thing, and when it lingers on the ghost face after the ghost face kills her, I was like, oh shit, we're about to see the ghost face. He's about to take that mask off, because it didn't go straight to the credit. So he takes the mask off. Tony Revolori. I'm a big fan of Tony Revolori.
Me too.
Big fan. So he goes back to his house, and we're watching him now. And I'm like, well, shit, I think he's going to die now. So like the two new people that I love died in the opening scenes, I guess you will, before it even says Scream 6. Again, that doesn't make it a bad movie. It's just, I was disappointed that those two actors that I was fans of, in this. So,
but I thought it was such a bold way to start the movie off. I think it's my favorite opening for any of the Scream movies, because it is catching you completely off guard. I knew Samara Weaving was going to die. I didn't know that Flash Thompson was going to die as quickly as he did. I sort of thought, like, we're just going to play the movie completely different now, and he's going to be the killer throughout the entire thing. And then obviously it didn't work out that way, but I thought that was so interesting. And I love the fact that Ghostface in this is more brutal than I think he's been in probably any of the Scream movies. And that was awesome to see. It was awesome to see how violent and visceral he was. Also, I think of all of the Scary Movie villains, Ghostface gets the shit beat out of him more than anybody else does. Like, he just has a rough time running around there.
Which makes it more real to me, in the sense that, like, when you think back at all the Scream movies of who the killers are, they're just regular people. Like, they're just dumb idiots half the time that decide to do this. But they're not trained killers.
Absolutely. But I wish one time when they took the mask off, they would have like black eyes and bruises. Like, oh fuck, the brick earlier was rough. Like, you know what I mean?
They look like Home Alone guys, the wet bandits.
Yeah. But I love the use of the different masks. I loved all of that. I thought that was great. I like, to be honest, it's in my top 3 of the Scream franchise. Like, to me, it's 1, 2, and then this one.
Wow.
So, but I also, at the same time, I didn't mind that I guessed the killers. That made me feel good about myself. But I do wish they would have had the balls to have killed some of the main characters.
That's what I was going to say too.
I love Sam and Tara. I think they're awesome. And I love the dynamic that we're establishing. I love, and this isn't new for Scary Movies to flirt with the victim becoming the killer. We look at Friday the 13th Part 4. We look at A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. We look at Friday the 13th 6, all the Tommy Jarvis things, right? So I think what separates it, though, the way she does it, is she fully fucking commits to it. She is a lunatic when she gets a knife in her hands, and it's terrifying.
Right.
Like, and that look that Jenna Ortega gives her, it's also so unsettling, right? And I think that's part of it that makes it work. It's good to see Skeet back again as well.
I love that scene, exactly what you're talking about, when Tara gave her that look, because, in a lot of horror movies, that's when she would drop the knife and basically say, yeah, but I'm not like, my father, or I'm not who you think I am. And, you can rot in prison, basically. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't. She freaking just goes crazy and stabs him, in the eye. And in Scream 5, she goes crazy, but that is 100% like in the moment. She is fighting for her life, and in the moment, just stabbing him, going crazy, which I love.
Me too.
And then in this, it's the danger is over.
She's already won, and she put the suit on. You know what I mean? And that in of itself that's kind of mind blowing. I love that.
Oh, the suit, yeah, it was awesome. If you wanted to like troll people, it'd be so fun. Like on social media, you post the picture of Sam taking the ghost face mask off.
Absolutely.
that because it was great.
That should have been the
awesome.
marketing campaign, because that also fits within the story. You know what I mean? Of everybody thinking she's behind it all.
Yeah. And so the only thing that I kind of got a little wrong, and I think they should have went this way and they didn't, was, they're avenging Richie's death or whatever.
Yeah.
But especially what they were trying to say about conspiracy theories and stuff, about how a lot of people are now saying Sam staged the whole thing and she was the killer or whatever. I think it would have been much better if the family was going after Sam because they thought that she actually was
that's
the
great
Ghostface killer.
That's
because in this, I think Dermot Mulroney says something like, "Yeah, of course we know Richie, did it or whatever." But if they're going after her because almost like the Sick movie that we watched,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's the thing that separates it from Sick, though, is that Sick they thought she was and they were wrong, but in this they know, and I guess that's the delineation from, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I wish they would have thought that she was, because they were hammering that so much, and it really would hammer in the conspiracy theories about like these people are so crazy with conspiracy theories that they are trying to kill people because they think they're responsible.
Absolutely.
But the problem is 100% what you said is they don't have the balls to kill the main characters, and now we have 4 main characters.
Agreed.
Yeah, and going into the movie, I really thought the only person that I kind of knew for a fact or really believed would be 100% safe and wouldn't be killed would be Mindy. And that is because I believe, it's not that I believe, she's the Randy now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not the people that are making this movie, but they made a mistake killing off Randy.
Mm-hmm.
In 2. It was brutal and surprising. Yeah. But I don't think they were going to make that mistake again. Mindy was going to be safe. I believe that. I thought, Tara could potentially die. Sam could potentially die, going into it. They could even be the killer, going into it as far as that goes. Mindy was the only one that I was confident that she was going to be safe. And even when she showed up at the end, she knew who the killers were. She was like, I know who the killers are or whatever.
But I love her line of like, I got it wrong again. Fuck. Like that was great. And I thought that subway scene was great. I think I loved seeing Friday the 13th part 8 on the TV in there, but I thought this did a better job of incorporating some aspects of New York City. I don't think any of it was shot in New York City, but it did
like Montreal or something.
Yeah. But I think it did a great job of incorporating some of those things that we identify with New York. But I think, overall, it's a great way to push the franchise forward in new and exciting ways. And I think we're in agreement that they should have the balls to kill some of these franchise hangovers, which takes us to a show that we can talk about now. I'm an episode behind, but I think Chad is as well. And that's Star Wars: The Bad Batch. The last episode I saw was about your boy. How are you feeling about the show right now?
A lot of these episodes are forgettable to me. It's not that it's a bad show. I'm enjoying them when I watch them, but I'm hard pressed to remember what some of them are after the fact. Because again, a lot of them are Mission of the Weeks, and I can be like, oh yeah, that was the Temple of Doom one. Yeah, that was the Godzilla one. I can remember them that way, but it's still it's a weird problem because I don't think that Echo had a lot to do on the show anyway, originally. Yeah. But now that he's gone and left, it just feels weird because the group is only three big guys and then Omega. And it seems too small to me now. I don't know what it is. It's not like Echo was even doing a whole lot. Because again, Wrecker had a personality. Wrecker was the big Wrecker. Tex, the smart. Hunter's the leader. Omega, what's Echo really, other than there?
He's a repeat, but that's his name, Echo. Yeah, and then even certainly at the beginning when they were getting Echo on the team, he had to go through something, but then once he was like on the team, he wasn't really doing anything.
but I just feel like I miss him in that regard. So
Oh.
that might be hurting the show a little bit for me.
Mhm.
Again, the mission of the week's hurting it, but like you said, the last episode, the Crosshair episode, was amazing. I loved
Amazing.
it. I love Crosshair so much. And at the end of that episode, when that Imperial officer is just basically spitting on him, treating him like shit. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, just fucking shoot him. Just shoot him, Crosshair. Just shoot him. And that, the Imperial walks off, and I'm like, he's not going to do it. And then he does shoot him. And I was like, fuck yeah. It was awesome. I love that they gave us that. I love that he shot that Imperial.
So, and it's interesting too, because the 2 Crosshair episodes that we've gotten this season are him being a good soldier following orders, and then now doing, going against it, right? Like in a way, he could replace Echo and come back to the thing, but it's also it takes me a second to remember, wait a minute, this is a Disney cartoon, and one of our main characters just killed a motherfucker on screen, shot him point blank dead. Like, this is ballsy. This is darker and more dramatic than anything bullshit Andor could pull. Not that Rob's ever gonna listen to this, but anyway, yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I wonder, at the end of it, we have was it the end of this episode where somebody wakes up and they're being examined?
Crosshair, because he passes out after he shoots the guy.
That's right.
And then he's like at a doctor's table, and you kind of don't know, other than the doctor says something like, hey, you might get out of this alive if you listen to us, or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if they're going to connect that to what's going on in The Mandalorian now, or if she herself is another clone. Because we had always suspected that Boba was Alpha. What if that doctor is Alpha? Because she has a similar tone of voice to what Omega sounds like. So that would be interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was the same voice actress.
Yeah. So
at first I was like, that's weird. It's the same voice actress. And then I listened, and it was like a little different, and it was throwing me off. So it absolutely could be intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the show, and I think it's absolutely great. That being said, there's another show I watched a little bit of that I don't know if I love as much. I've only watched 4 episodes of it, but it's History of the World Part 2 on Hulu. Produced by Mel Brooks. Part of it's written by Mel Brooks, narrated but not directed by Mel Brooks. And I kind of wish it was. And there's some funny moments to it. It's a who's who. Like, it's great to watch and see cast members that show up and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like this should have been made 20 years ago because it's parroting stuff from 20 years ago. Don't get me wrong, it's parroting stuff from hundreds of years ago, but using the mediums of 20 years ago, right? Like,
Sure.
They have a punked episode, and I'm like, that's not too topical. So not necessarily that Rasputin is, but still, it's fine. It's fine if you like Mel Brooks, you'll like it. It's there's some great stuff. There's like one about going D-Day, and everybody in the ship just keeps puking on each other, and it's just covered in vomit. So it's just disgusting, fun, silly humor. I liked it. It's pretty fun. So you should check that out. Another thing that we checked out, and I think that's all we have to talk about that Rob hasn't seen. So fuck him. Since just us, since we're the last of us, let's go ahead and talk about that show. So HBO Max just wrapped up Pedro Pascal starring, Bella Ramsey starring, all of the cast from the actual video game starring The Last of Us. Chad, what did you think about the show?
So the last time we talked about the first 4 episodes, and I really kind of broke it down and talked about each episode individually. So I'm going to do that a little bit here. Episode 5 was heartbreaking. It was the one where the guy had to kill his own deaf brother. Heartbreaking. And when it first started, that episode, we flash back a little bit to them getting on in the world. And I was like, man, I hope this isn't like episode 3 where it's just the two of them the entire time. But it wasn't, we got a little bit and then we joined Pedro and Bella. So it was fine. I like that aspect of it. This episode though, it was action packed when they got to the cul-de-sac, and had the huge fight. It was awesome. I loved it. With all of the clickers and the big bloater, it was awesome. Starting even with the sniper guy. I was a big fan of episode 5. I dug that one. Then 6 is the one where he meets up with his brother in that town.
Yeah.
And, I'd just stay in that town. There's no doubt. Like, that's it. Mission accomplished as far
they
as
got
I'm concerned.
everything I need. Like, she's not dying. Yeah, stay here.
It's already perfect. And then they say, hey, are you coming to movie night? Movie night? Yeah, I'm definitely staying there.
But the problem is that this world stopped advancing like 20-something years ago, so I don't get the MCU at all. Ugh, that's rough.
Yeah, but you're not going to get the MCU ever, so it doesn't really matter. There'll be plenty of films you haven't seen.
Yeah, I guess.
Episode 7 is the Ellie Riley flashback. Also heartbreaking because we know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Episode 3, I didn't know how it was going to end.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they're both going to die at the end. I had no idea they weren't going to join them. I didn't play the game. I didn't know how that was going to go. But this one, that Riley's not going to be with her. And I also feel like, just based on context, that Riley is the person that, Ellie killed.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I'm like, yeah, again, just heartbreaking. And even though most of the episode was a flashback, it was funny because it's about Ellie. So we're informed about Ellie,
who she is,
where she is today. Yeah. So that was perfect. Episode 8, you got the terrible cannibal reverend and his flock. What I really loved about that episode is Ellie got out of the situation without Joel's help at all.
Completely by herself. Yeah.
She saved Joel's life by giving him the knife and, drawing them away and getting the medicine, all that stuff. She saved his life, then killed the Reverend, got away, did everything on her own. And one of the things that I feel like Walking Dead does really well is reunions. So when I'm watching this episode, I was watching my wife and Maggie, and I said, this reunion is going to be awesome when they get back together. And at the end of that episode, when she walks out, she's killed the Reverend, and Joel grabs her and they embrace. It did not disappoint.
No.
It was an amazing, amazing reunion when he called her baby girl.
Yeah.
I want to go back to real fast to juxtapose that scene when they get to the town and Ellie finds out about Joel's daughter and she tries to talk about it. And all Joel says is no. As soon as it was heartbreaking. The acting is amazing on this show.
Absolutely.
Again, he's just saying no, and you just feel everything. It's awesome. The last episode 9, is the season finale. To be honest, I'm not real sure how I feel about this episode because I felt like it was a little anticlimactic. I know online there's a lot of people that are mad at Joel, but I'm not at all. I totally get why he did what he did. It works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not why I don't know how I feel about this episode. It was not because of Joel's actions, because Joel just became a badass.
Yeah.
It was like nothing was standing in his way. He was killing everybody. It did not matter whatsoever. He had one focus. It was getting Ellie out of there. And then just to lie to her face on more than one occasion about the situation. It's like, wow, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But I also agree, where I don't know how I feel about the episode, because I think there's such a role reversal that happens between, before Ellie's the one that's always trying to open up and Joel is the solitary, monolithic sort of character. Whereas in this episode, it's sort of reversed, right? And Joel's the one that's constantly trying to bring stuff up about the past, all that jazz. And it just feels sort of unnatural because she's resisting it. And so thus that chemistry is sort of altered for, you know what I mean? And I think that chemistry is such an important dynamic of the show. But like it's heartbreaking. You know, I think him becoming a badass in those two moments in episode 8 and 9, when 8 where he just decides I'm mowing everybody down, and in 9 when the sound ceases to be diegetic and he's just mowing through, killing everyone in that hospital, all for her. Like, it's heartbreaking, man. But it's also like, fuck yeah, Pedro Pascal, save Grogu. I mean, Ellie. And arguably, this is the best video game adaptation ever made. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd have to really think. I mean, I know this is on the front of our mind because we've been watching it.
You don't want recency bias or frequency bias. Or
yes. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. I very well could be the best video game adaptation. I can't think of one off the top of my head for sure, at least until we see Super Mario Brothers here in a couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that might be like kind of dismissive, but I'm super stoked about it, just to be honest.
I'm stoked about it. It's not going to be like as powerful as The Last of Us.
I don't know,
but I'm stoked about it.
Mario saves Toadstool by wiping out Koopas and then lying to Toad to his face.
Well, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to check it out. It's a Saturday Night Live skit with Pedro Pascal.
It's great.
Where he's Mario, and it's like The Last of Us. Yeah, it's amazing. It really is awesome.
Yeah, or if you just want to sit through somebody playing Donkey Kong 1 and Donkey Kong Jr., feel free to check that out on YouTube.
Well, you know, you weren't as your hubris was not as great in this one. You beat it, I guess. I don't know if you did or not. You beat Donkey Kong Jr. But again, the first one you were like, yeah, it just took me 45 minutes and I beat it. I beat the whole game. Yeah, I've never even played it before. This one you're like, yeah, I beat it. Yeah, no big deal. But
because you gave me a talking to, so I had to calm myself down. Wait till you see the new one I'm recording now, Donkey Kong 2. God, it's rough. But yeah, but speaking of monkeying around and stuff, I forgot to mention another movie I saw that Rob didn't, and that's Marlowe, starring Liam Neeson. It's a film noir thing. It's not good. All right, moving on. It's okay. It's got a great cast, and it's just, I don't know, it's missing some elements. Plus, like, let Liam Neeson take a break. Let that motherfucker retire. He's 97 years old. He can't be kicking ass all the time. Let him sit and eat a salad just once. Poor guy. Anyway,
they're going to keep paying him. He's going to keep doing it.
Absolutely. No, he's just, and this movie is one of those, like, I want to get to that age where I'm like 86 years old and I can still kick ass, quote unquote, and all the girls want to fuck me. Like, I want to get to that because that's what's happening in here. Like, every time he turns a corner, woman's like, oh, you're so handsome. Let's have sex and have a steak and then beat up this guy. And he's like, I can't right now, honey. I have to find my daughter or whatever, you know? It's I don't know. It's weird. Whatever. Fuck that movie.
I like how you said you want to do that when you want to be that way when you're 86. I would take that at any point ever in my life.
Tomorrow would be great. That would be solid. But speaking of Pedro Pascal, segues aren't that great on this episode, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about another example of him saving small children, and that is the Mandalorian. There are 3 episodes out. I've seen all 3. You've seen 2. Where are you at? How do you feel about the show? What are you thinking so far?
Yeah, I enjoyed these 2 episodes. Unlike the Bad Batch, I feel like he's got a mission, and everything that we're doing is in service of that mission. So I enjoy that. You know, some of the prior Mandalorian episodes, it definitely was like a mission of the week type deal. You know, it could be like the 7 Samurai episode, stuff like that, where we're actually just meeting characters that are going to help us later on in the thing, but it's kind of aimless. Where now we got a mission. He wants to, I don't really know how to say it, but he wants to be a Mandalorian again, to get their acceptance again. So, you know, where I left it is he went to Mandalore, and he was, basically kidnapped by that awesome droid. Well, if that's even a droid,
It was
great.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked awesome. And what I liked in this too is Grogu's doing a little stuff on his own as well. Like he had to go and get Bo-Katan to come back. And again, I'm a sucker for this, but it's just so freaking cute. Grogu's so freaking cute when they're in the cave and Bo-Katan is like, walking in the cave and it's scary. And clearly Grogu is scared. And she says something like, I know you're scared, but if we're going to save him, you have to show me the way to where he is. And he still looks scared. And then the determination on his face is like, no, I've got to go help save my dad, basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it's just the cutest freaking thing. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm digging these 2 episodes so far. I can't wait to jump into episode 3.
I've seen all 3 episodes. I think I literally jumped out of my seat at the mythosaur in episode 2. I was so excited by that. And I don't give a fuck about Mandalorians. I don't know why I had such a visceral response. It was like Maggie said, my remote was sweaty and shit like that. Like I was just no. I loved it. And then episode 3, I really dug. And I agreed with you about it seemed like we were advancing a story until episode 3 takes a bunch of turns I didn't expect. And I won't say them, but the killer is Richie's dad. No. So like it does a couple of things. It follows a character that we've seen before and puts them in an interesting place. And it feels like at the beginning of their story, oh, I see what we're doing. We're establishing this, but then it fucking zigs when it should have zagged. And the world that you came in understanding is sort of like flipped on its side. Not like in the most drastic ways, but characters who you thought you had an understanding of now find themselves in a completely different path. And that's just compelling. It's great not being able to know where the story's going to go. I love it. Either way, this is the way I'm going to watch all of that shit. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm a sucker for it. And it does feel like they're telling a larger story that's more grandiose within a universe.
Good. And I'll do Rob real fast.
Yeah.
Because I know a little bit of what he thinks about at least the first episode. It's too kiddie for me. It's not Andor. I don't know what it is. Like
I got a complicated relationship with Star Wars.
The people that run Star Wars don't know what they're doing. They had it perfect with Andor. It's unbelievable that they're going back to this Muppet stuff in Star Wars. Like, they're ruining the Mandalorian. It was one of my favorite shows, and they're ruining it. That's Rob.
He's got to find the littlest thing to complain about. But speaking of little things, let's talk about a movie that's hot off the presses, ladies and gentlemen. And that is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Now, we both saw it when it fucking came out, which was months ago. I remember there were ants. That's what I remember. Chad, what did you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the third Ant-Man film, the MCU film, and the start of the new phase?
Yeah, Rob was saying something like, yeah, what do we got to talk about? And I was like, Ant-Man. And he's like, we didn't talk about Ant-Man? It came out forever ago. I was like, yeah, I know. That's what happens when we rarely record. Mm-hmm. So Ant-Man this is bottom tier MCU to me. It is not, I don't mean that it's bad. I've liked every MCU movie. I've loved a lot of them, and I've at least liked every one of them. But this is definitely bottom tier. I enjoyed it. It had some problems, though. I mean, it definitely had some problems. Just even, half the issue is, Janet hasn't told anybody about her experience. Not even, Hank, about her experience in the quantum realm or whatever. Yeah. And then even when they're in there, and she has the opportunity to tell them, she's always like, hey, we don't have time to talk about this now. And then after she says that, they go and they ride a beast for like an hour to get to their next destination. Maybe talk about it then. All this time you're walking in the woods or whatever. Tell them what's going on. They don't do that. I don't like that. To me, that's bad writing.
It tells me that Janet and Hank have a bad marriage. That's all it tells me. Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I don't like that aspect of it. And even at the end of the movie, when the whole deal is Scott is going to sacrifice himself and stay in the quantum realm, to make sure that Kane doesn't get out. And Hope joins in and helps at the very end. That sacrifice is immediately taken away when the portal reopens. Like, if that's the deal, it just made no sense to me that they acted like this was a big thing when they just could open the portal right back up. And maybe they didn't know, but still, it doesn't matter. Like, why not just leave them in there for 6 months or something?
Well,
and then,
I think the reason to not do that is because they did that at the last one. You know what I mean? That was the ending of part 2.
I mean, I know that's what they did, but in that one, they were in there and you didn't know what was going on. They, were just, but in this, he's literally sacrificing himself to stay. Like, that's the whole thing.
And don't get me wrong, I think the film would have been a million times better had that been the case, had that been where they decided to go with it. And it feels like there might have been a reshoot or something that led to that. You know what I mean?
Well, even the end after he's back in the real world, it did make sense to me. It was weird. To me, it felt tacked on. And
well, interestingly enough, to speak of being tacked on, Rob Prog, ladies and gentlemen, has just joined the conversation. He looks like he's reporting from a mental asylum. Rob, how you doing?
In lieu of the fact that it's possible the people I work with today may hear this, I'm fine.
Are you reporting from an air hangar? Because it sounds like that's what it sounds like.
Yes, I'm in my bunker in Marietta. I'm hiding from all people in the industry, and I've come out just to ridicule Ant-Man. That's the only reason I'm on here.
Well, let's do it really quick. Give us your, because we're talking about Ant-Man right now, but we can dive back and do a lightning round for Rob. What did you think about Last of Us?
Yeah, it was a really strong show. I mean, I dug it. It was, I understand. I've heard people talk about how they're a little bummed because it was sort of sold as a quote unquote zombie show. But, I think every good zombie show, really, other than World War Z or movie, comes down to the relationships and the people. The people usually become, we're the ones who get feral quickly, and we become the most dangerous thing. I dug it. I mean, it's HBO. Not to make too broad. They make good stuff. They take their time. The quality is usually on point. I think the favorite thing I ever saw them make was Chernobyl. But this. And I think it's similar filmmakers. I believe similar people from Chernobyl.
It's the same showrunner for Chris Mason. He wrote both of them for sure.
Just such a good, and it keeps you on your toes, and not just, again, they bounce around, fleshing out different characters and different stories, building out the world, and man, even messing with your head with the lengths of the episodes. I find the lengths of the episodes shocking. Sometimes all of a sudden you're there for a longer period of time, and it's overwhelming, and then one just shuts off in your face and at the 35 minute mark, and you're like, what? And it's just it's very emotionally affecting. Yeah. It's well cast, it's well written. It's and again, this is another show I think is a victim of its own success. Some of the episodes are so freaking amazing that the really good ones suffer by comparison. And you got to sit back and go, oh wow, okay, I just got to look at this one as its own thing and go, wow, this is a pretty good thing for its own thing, and don't compare it to episode 3 or episode 7. I'm losing track of which ones are which, but just very powerful. Yeah, very, very powerful.
Absolutely. No, I agree completely. But speaking of suffering, let's hear your opinion on the show Picard. You just watched season 3 of it.
Oh my God. It's so freaking good. And maybe there's just been a dearth of good quality Star Trek, and there has for a long period of time, I think. I needed a good dose of quality old school Star Trek, good filmmaking and old school characters. And I thought I had that with season 1 of Picard. And season 1 of Picard is and I got through it. Season 2 of Picard, I couldn't even get through. So my expectations of this were in the dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, it is just, you are shot out of a cannon from the get-go of episode 1. And it is awesome. And they're bringing back cool people from it is so good. And I know Chad is very meticulous about how he watches things. So by the time he gets to Picard season 3, I will be in an old age home. And that's why I almost want to put a spell on you guys to just, I want Doctor Strange to make you forget that season 1 and 2 exist, get rid of it, so you can jump into season 3. Because I don't even think you need season 1 and 2 to make season 3 make sense. Yes, there's continuity, but there's nothing that you have to see in 1 or 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's so good, and it feels like Star Trek. I just love it. And again, it's not just the name Star Trek. I didn't like Discovery. I couldn't get into it. I didn't like the feel of it. It didn't capture Star Trek. And I know there's that new show on the one.
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds, yes. And I watched the first episode, and it was good, and it felt like Star Trek a little bit, but I couldn't get into it. This was something else. I'm looking forward to Chad being, old and gray and telling me he watched the first episode of Star Trek Picard season 3. That would be fun. Good stuff. All you people
I'm going to check it out. As soon as I'm done with my Voyager, I'm on season 6. I'm jumping into Picard.
From Trek to Wars, Rob, what did you think about Mandalorian?
So where are we on discussing it right now? I saw episode 3 this morning.
I saw all 3 episodes. Chad's only seen the first 2.
So it's been bizarre for me. It really has. I'm in. I like the Mandalorian. I like Pedro Pascal. I love the character he's created. I feel there's an interesting, the writing of the dialogue for Din Djarin and for Katie Sackhoff in this season 2 feels very stilted to me. The characters were much more conversational. Well, Din Djarin from beginning to end, I found it much more conversational and down to earth. Season 1 and 2, and in the mini season in Boba Fett, and I found Katie Sackhoff much more conversational in season 2. The way they talked, and everything feels so clipped and bizarre. And so episode 3, I will bet my left nut that the beginning part of episode 3 was not directed by the same person who directed Once We Go to the Story of the Doctor. Completely different. There's no way. I know there was a woman who was credited for directing that episode. There was no way in hell the same person directed both of those segments. It feels completely different. The dialogue's different. For me, this is a compliment and something that makes me feel good. You two are going to hate it. I felt like once we got away from Din and Katie Sackhoff, I felt like it was going much more towards the quality of Andor with the Doctor. Did you get that vibe, though? Did you get that feel?
Well, I knew you were going to like it from where episode 3 went, but Chad did an impression of you a minute ago and what you would say about Mandalorian, and this was some of the things he included. Yeah, I thought, especially the reveal at the end of episode 3 was much more like Andor, but also like comic book, like weird, like. Yeah. So
that did surprise the shit out of me. The twist. I was like, of all the things that happened, I was like, what?
Yeah, because I thought we were building towards one thing with that Doctor character, and then whoa, we're not. Okay,
yeah.
And then also the twist that happens with the Mandalorians themselves about the character who changes their mind, perhaps. You know what I mean? Like that was sort of surprising to me as well, but a good idea.
Everything, I don't trust any of those motherfuckers.
Me either.
I don't trust. I don't trust Bo-Katan, and I don't trust the Armorer. You know, I trust Grogu and the Mandalorian. Everybody else is suspect. Yep. You know, in their intentions. I don't I don't trust any of them. And there was some weird editing in the dialogue between Din Djarin and Katie Sackhoff. Like when they're discussing the, what's the dinosaur creature, the mythosaur?
Yeah.
And she's like, did you just notice anything down there? And there's a moment when he's like, why? And she goes, nothing. There was just, it wasn't like a normal conversation. It wasn't how normal people speak in the cadences going back and forth. And it just bothered me in the way they talk to each other. I don't know. Thank God we left them and we went to people who actually talk like human beings. The doctor, when he met those other, I sat here going, oh my God, real discussions, real talk. This is.
I also think that's not very indicative of who Rob Parago is, because when we cut to this other person, he's like, cloning technology at the gene level finds, and Rob's like, finally, a conversation I understand.
If we're not talking about quantum and cloning, it's really not real to me. But you'll see, Chad, when you get to it, what I'm discussing. The relationships, how it's shot, everything's different. It's just, yes, it feels like an adult is making a movie as opposed to HR Puffin stuff.
God damn it. Chad's impression was really good, it turns out.
Oh, he knows me. Look, if I'm anything, I'm predictable. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
I just didn't talk about your bad back. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
I
that's
missed,
the only thing.
It is so tight right now. I mean, oh my God.
My thing about episode 3 of Mandalorian is Coruscant looks like it's so fucking big. I got tired just watching people walk everywhere. Like I was like, I could never survive this city.
It's a beautiful city.
Yeah, but it's like
I would stunning.
No, the chafing I would have after spending a day walking.
I was laughing so hard because the doctor's like walking around all paranoid because people are looking at him. I'm going, this bitch wouldn't last 2 seconds in New York City. This place looks spectacular. Everybody's so nice. And somebody got glances at him. He's paving. I'm like, dude, this is like Shangri-La. What are you talking about?
Absolutely. I looked at that apartment housing complex. I'm like, that motherfucker's huge.
Oh my God. Look at this place. It looks like the perfect, like over 55 community. I bet you there are STDs going all over that place.
Yeah.
These people are getting laid, having fun.
What a weird insight into
I want to go to that place on vacation.
He just talked about all the STDs people were getting, and you followed up with,
go there.
Oh, I want to go to there. Absolutely.
We clap for the clap here. Well, speaking of little things, since Rob is back, let's go ahead and talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Chad was discussing it earlier. Chad sort of gave his thoughts about it. He thinks it's the best movie ever made. Rob.
I did not say that.
Rob, how did you feel about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania?
Bottom 4, bottom 5 Marvel.
Kind of what Chad said.
Bottom 4, bottom 5. Easily. It approached eternal level mundaneness to me. It was just, it was a slog to get through for me. The jokes felt forced. I saw the world didn't look real to me. I felt like they were in a bubble. I felt like they were on a very small stage. It just dragged, man. I just did not enjoy. I don't remember the last time I didn't enjoy Bill Murray. And it just sucked the life out of everything. I mean, was Wasp even in the movie? The whole thing was so vague. I don't know. It was funny. I was joking. I was like, clearly it can't be because what's his name wasn't in the movie. You know, his buddy, the actor, Latino actor who did the whole
Michael Pena.
Yeah, Pena. I mean, he wasn't in it, but clearly that's not the reason the movie wasn't any good.
He could have used him though.
Yeah, holy cow! I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer was great. You know, I really enjoyed the interaction, the moments with her, and I would say Khan and Kang. I could have watched more of that. That was interesting to me. That was fascinating to me. I felt like Hank Pym was just a third wheel the whole time. Nothing really was cohesive. It was just, I mean, this is the third out of the last 4 movies where I thought there were big script problems or somebody got their hands on it in post and just did some chopping, and because it just did not flow at all. So I have concerns, but I really did not enjoy the movie. I maybe, and due to expectations, it might be my least favorite due to expectations, because I had pretty good expectations. I liked Ant-Man. I liked, the story. I liked the first two movies. They were fun. And again, I didn't have any really expectations for Thor: Dark World, and I kind of enjoy it sometimes. I didn't, I had expectations for Multiverse of Madness, and it let me down. I had expectations for, oh my God, I had huge expectations for Love and Thunder. Huge. And I did, I didn't really enjoy it. It was, ugh. So they're kind of they're 1 out of 4 in the last 4 movies, as far as just, and again, could be burnout, could it be me? I mean, I'm not the only these feelings, but I'm glad, I'm interested to see, now that Iger's back, to see if it sounds like he's pumping the brakes a little bit, and things are getting pushed back. There were things getting pushed back now to 2028. I mean, we're talking 3-4 years. All of a sudden, things are like, whoa, spreading this out, giving characters time to be developed, time to breathe, which you get good for, I think, the product. Bad for me, because I'll be 62 in 28. So that's not good.
Well, that's ridiculous. You
Thank
won't
you.
be alive anymore. I think the thing about it is, just kidding.
My tombstone will say, I can eat. That's what I said.
I can't believe you said just kidding. That's the first time you've ever backed off on an insult, Keith. I am highly disappointed in you.
Even that
If
one
you
was a little
say
harsh.
Somebody's
for
gonna
me.
die. You own that shit. Okay.
I tell you, Chad has been nothing but consistent in life. He used to make fun of me, like I would make an insult for once. He'd be proud of me. Then I go, I'm just kidding. He'd be like, oh my God, you're gonna insult, do it. Stick to your guns, man. Stick to your guns.
I know. I got another buddy. Every time he says something, he's like, I'm just playing. I'm like, stop it. Stop it.
You said that to me so goddamn time.
I think, to me, that's one of the problems with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, is it doesn't stick to its guns. Like, it has lofty ideas, but doesn't commit fully to those ideas. And because of that, it sort of feels like a softened movie by committee at times. Like, it feels like it wants to be quirky and broad and big, but then it's just a couple of like in rooms talking scenes mostly. You know what I mean? Like, I wish more of it would have been whatever that storm of possibilities. I wish it would have been more us exploring the quantum realm. I don't think the fault of this is anywhere on the acting side. I think Paul Rudd is affable as always. Jonathan Majors, I thought, was great. Michelle Pfeiffer does great. This is my favorite.
It's not an actor problem. That's a hell of a cast. That's an astounding cast.
I thought Michael Douglas, this is my favorite he's been in any of these movies. And even the young Cassie Lang, I thought she was great. She did a great job of capturing some of the essence of Paul Rudd. Evangeline Lilly didn't really have much to do, but I thought she was good in it. I think it was a story aspect where some of the things like that connective tissue wasn't really there for me. I think it was as if they overestimated my relationship to these characters and overestimated my understanding of what the stakes were. You know what I mean? And they didn't put the work in to get me there. I sort of feel like it's Batman v Superman. Like, hey, you're rushing some of these elements. You need to flesh this out a little bit more. So that way it means more to me. And you could still have that quirkiness. Like, I love the idea of the bookmarks of this film, the beginning and the end, where Paul Rudd is doing the narration thing. That's great. That's fine. That's a big swing for a weird tone at the end, that joke you're trying to make. But I like big swings. But I think the reason you miss it is that you're missing some context. Yes, earlier you've indicated what he's eating is that cake that what's his name made, his first cake he's made in 30 years or whatever. But the problem is that joke doesn't fire because you don't show me the cake right before he takes a bite out of it. So by the time he takes a bite out of it, I've missed the joke. I've forgotten that was the cake. And I think that's a microcosm for all the problems the film has. Right. That it's just, you're skipping 2 steps and you're thinking I'm still going to be with you, but I'm not. And I think there might be, an issue about the MCU gave us such big things with Endgame that everything after that just seems a little tinier. I don't
mean to cut you off. I'll let you go on. I mean, I think you make a really interesting point here, because I think you brought up something that I think we see in our journey, and again, you and me both, working with a lot of low budget filmmakers and indie filmmakers, that in the process of making it, and when they write their own scripts, how many times have you looked at a writer and go, you know that because you wrote the script, but it's not in the script, so we don't know that. You're filling in the DNA, but the audience isn't going to get it. We don't know this shit. I mean, countless times you're like, doesn't make any sense. And they go, well, this is this because of this. And I go, well, how the fuck does anybody know that? I mean, they're just skipping connective tissue. No, that's a good point.
And I think it's, and not to say that I don't think all the information's there, but again, I think with any audience, if you're going to make a mass appeal movie, you got to remind me, you know what I mean? And even on the emotional stakes level, at times we forget those things. I think there's some great connective tissue in the fact that the MODOK Cassie Lang connection, that's awesome. That's cool. I love that. That played really well for me. But some of the overall stuff just feels like it was never flushed out. Like it feels like there's scenes missing. It feels like they took the bare minimum of the dialogue from every scene and took out all the good stuff. You know what I mean? They just kept the coverage, but they forgot the icing on the cake. And don't get me, there's moments I like. I like David Smolson's new character. That was cool. That was fun. I liked Kang. I thought Kang was great. I don't think we've seen the last of that Kang. I think he gets sucked into the Creed verse. And I liked MODOK. I loved the fucking ants having 1,000 years of technocratic society. I thought that was a good little Rick and Morty gag. But yeah, overall, I like it better than Thor: Dark World. But that's also, I liked Cancer better than that too. You know what I mean? So it's God, just kidding.
I'll allow that. Just kidding.
The best part of Thor: Dark World is that post-credit scene with the little dog thing running around. That's the best part of that movie by far.
That's funny.
But I like it. I'll own it. It's not my favorite. I wish we'd have had a stronger start off. I wish it would have been weirder, and I think I would have liked it more.
Could be. Yeah. What's next? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, Guardians 3.
Got you.
I don't know when we're getting our first MCU show on Disney Plus.
Is it Echo or is it Loki 2?
I would guess it would be Loki 2. I can look that up right now.
They started shooting Daredevil. They just started shooting that. There's 18 episodes, and I heard it's going to be 3 6-episode pods. So they're going to do a 6-episode arc, then something else will come out. And then this will come out. There'll be another 6-episode arc, and then something else will come out. So they're going to have these 18 episodes are going to be spread out over time. So hopefully blending well with other things that are going on around in the universe.
You got to think Echo's going to, be a part of it for sure. I mean, not necessarily in the show, but like her story and whatever's going on with that, you would think that's going to be involved somehow.
So here is where we stand right now. Secret Invasion will release in spring.
Gotcha. That might be next. Yeah.
And then Loki season 2 this summer. Echo has a release date of 2024.
Okay.
Marvel's November 10th. X-Men 97 fall of 2023. Ironheart's 2024. Covenant of Chaos 2024. Captain America May 3rd, 2024. Daredevil spring 2024. Thunderbolts July 26, 2024. Blade September 6, 2024. Deadpool 3 November 8, 2024. We're just getting all these real quick.
I think Blade's going to get pushed again because they just had something just came out about Mahershala Ali still doesn't like the script.
Oh, goddamn. Just let me rewrite it, guys. I got this. Fantastic Four Valentine's Day 2025. Avengers Kang Dynasty May 2nd, 2025. Avengers Secret Wars May 1st, 2026.
So that's been pushed back to 28.
Oh shit. Well, yeah.
What they're going to do before that is they I don't know how recent that article you're reading is. I think they're about to announce Battle World.
What, and the rumor is that Doctor Strange 3 is going to come out. Before that as
exactly.
Well.
They're bringing they're fleshing that stuff out. Yeah. So interesting.
Well, and they also today it's been officially announced that James Gunn will be directing Superman. Zack Snyder came out with some weird tweet saying that something's going to happen April 28th through 30th, involving Darkseid and the Snyderverse. We don't know what that is yet. So yeah, it's fucking balls to the wall weird. Yeah.
What is that?
And did either of you see the trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem?
I have not.
I did.
All right, well, me and Chad are going to talk about it. Rob's going to listen. Here's some trailer music.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
All right, Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem? And I'll look up all the information I normally say.
It was fine. This is not one that I'm going to go to the movies to watch. I love the Turtles. I will watch it, but I'm not jumping up and down to go see this at the movies.
Oh
I watch it when it comes to streaming. It looks fine. Nothing was egregious. The Turtles were the Turtles. I mean, I'm certainly not mad that April O'Neil is a chubby black girl all of a sudden.
Me either.
Like half the internet is. Like, geez Louise.
Yeah, I think it looks great. And if you're unfamiliar,
it looks funny.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about the film directed by Jeff Rowe and Kyle Spears, written by Brendan O'Brien, Kevin Eastman, and Peter Laird created the characters. And it stars the voice cast of Rose Byrne, Ayo Edebiri, Seth Rogen, Nicholas Cantu, Paul Rudd, Micah Abbey, Brady Noon, Natasha Demetriou, Giancarlo Esposito, Jackie Chan, Shannon Brown Jr., John Cena, Maya Rudolph, Ice Cube, Post Malone, and Hannibal Buress. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. The Turtle brothers, as they work to earn the love of New York City while facing down an army of mutants. To me, like, this fucking thing, I'm so excited. I just looked up and Rob's gone. Rob left the podcast again.
I'm here.
He's been here for 4 minutes and then he left.
I can't take it anymore. Turtles.
To me, it looks like Spider-Verse, like animation style. And I'm obsessed with the Turtles. So to hear them voiced by teenagers actually for the first time, what an incredible cast. Like,
the cast is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so I'm excited. I love the tone of this. I think it looks great. And then another trailer that I'm sure you saw was The Little Mermaid. You see that one?
Yep.
Cool. So The Little Mermaid, directed by Rob Marshall, written by David Magee, Rob Marshall, and John DeLuca. It stars Halle Bailey, Jonah Hauer-King, Melissa McCarthy, Javier Bardem, Jude Akawudiki, Noma Dumawinzi. These names are all hard. Kaja Mahomar, Lorena Andrea, David Diggs, Jacob Tremblay, Aquafina, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Simone Ashley, Martina Laird, Art Malik, Jessica Alexander, John Daglish, and Emily Coates. Of course, this is by Disney, and a young mermaid makes a deal with a sea witch to trade her beautiful voice for human legs so she can discover the world above water and impress a prince. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for The Little Mermaid?
I mean, it looks like exactly what it is, a live-action Little Mermaid. I've said before on this podcast, I am not a fan of Disney's live-action remakes. So I probably will not check this one out unless everybody's just going absolutely crazy over it, But it looks like Little Mermaid, sure.
Dick, put Maggie back on the computer so we can talk to somebody with sense. Rob, what do you think about the trailer for Little Mermaid?
I thought it interrupted the Oscars. I thought it was a fucked up weird use of. I thought it was
100%.
inappropriate. I thought it was awkward. I'd never seen. I don't think that's been done before like that, where they just. Yeah, I mean, they should have just released it as a trailer. I mean, to have two actors come out and that was fucked up. And I think it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. That being said, I've never seen The Little Mermaid, the cartoon. I've never seen it. I know.
What the fuck?
Top tier.
No,
It's amazing.
that could be what's wrong with me. I've never seen The Little Mermaid. So
it is an amazing movie. Like, no
I'm
lie.
not even knocking it. I just haven't seen it. I can't even tell you that it looks like The Little Mermaid because I've never seen The Little Mermaid.
God.
That was good. The colors were pretty. It did nothing for me. Am I going to see it? I'd rather watch the cartoon.
So, new podcast. We're getting Rob to watch Disney cartoons he hasn't, called Not Quite Cartoons. That's
It's been a while since I think the last one I watched. I got to go back and look linearly. I want to say it was Beauty and the Beast, but it's been a while since I mean,
Little Mermaid was before that. So you're just
okay. So I did pick up on a couple of them, but I've missed a lot of Disney.
Beauty and the
cartoons
Beast
the past
was
20 years.
30 years ago.
It's good though. It really sticks with you.
I mean,
He's watched Pixar though. He's watched some Pixar stuff.
Yeah.
He doesn't like cartoons unless they're making out. Listen, I think
With me.
yeah.
That's
I thought the trailer.
Oh my gosh.
I thought the trailer looked great. Yeah, I'm here for it. Her singing voice is magical. Melissa McCarthy looked awesome in it. Javier Bardem looks cool. They're doing the Aquaman style underwater. Yeah, I'm here for it. It's going. Plus, it's Rob Marshall. Like, it's not going to be bad. You know what I mean?
he can make a musical. That's for sure.
So I'm gonna watch it. And that's all the trailers I got for you guys. And that's all I got. Oh, that's all I got. Period. Anything else? You want Chad? You got?
Yeah, I got something.
Okay.
Rob, Keith, I'm sure you've noticed this. We have released this will be our third main podcast of the year, not counting our Not Quite Darkness. The first one of the year, Rob called it something like a-hole something, a whole new year. The second one was drop. Yeah.
A whole new year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The second one was like dropping a deuce, our second episode of the year. I don't know what your, kink is.
This is going to be like
but
a floating third, like a turd.
no,
like
yeah, I
that's
say, please don't call this like third's a turd. Like, don't call it that, please.
why the fuck
For
are
the
you
love
giving
of
him
God.
ideas?
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought of that, but now it's like, yeah. Yeah. That's great. First, second,
You should
turd.
not be allowed to name these.
First,
It's
second,
terrible.
turd.
You know,
Perfect.
there's like some 12-year-old outside of a gas station that he like outsources to get these names for.
Yes.
I need poop, and we're our fourth episode.
Exactly.
Turd sounds like turd.
That was.
I didn't even make the
Don't
connection.
do it.
that was the,
I'd rather just say our third podcast. Please watch or please
third
listen.
Our turd podcast.
my God. So Chad, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter, NQC Podcast. They can also find the podcast on Instagram, NQC Podcast on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Rob, where can the people find you?
Right now I'm in Marietta. In 40 minutes, I'll be in Alpharetta.
Oh,
Come find
yeah.
That's where I'll be.
Yeah, if you need to find me, please don't, unless you're bringing a check, and I would really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Next time we talk to you, it'll probably be about the Christmas films of 2023. Who knows how long it'll be, and whether Rob will be there the entire episode, halfway through the episode, we'll find out. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions.